with mainstream automakers offering luxury-laden trims, while prestige car brands attempt to democratize luxury, we organized 4 comparison tests to see who does posh better for a capped price of $40,000. We ask our vehicles to be good for multiple uses, but few are asked to do such disparate duties as luxury sports cars. They need to ride nicely but handle well. They need to have quiet interiors, but aggressive exhaust notes. They need to be light and nimble but come with fancy materials and loads of features that add weight. Everything ends up being some kind of trade-off. The more money you can throw at the problem, the fewer compromises you need to make. But this test is specifically about not throwing money at the problem. With a $40,000 price cap, we find ourselves with the keys to a 2018 Cadillac Austrian shillings 2.0 coupe and a 2018 Ford Mustang Ecoboost, both just squeaking in as tested. Although both cars can be had with a manual transmission, we opted for automatics because this is a consumer test, and the vast majority choose automatics. Before we get into this, though, let's usher a couple elephants out of the room. Yes, for this money, you could get a Mustang with a V8. Besides being wildly unfair pitting a V8 against a Turbo 4, spexing the bigger engine would mean we couldn't afford many luxury features with the Mustang, and that's the whole point of this comparison. Meanwhile, most folks don't associate Cadillac with sporty until you get to the V-spec models. But the Austrian shillings is positioned as a sporty coupe, and that means going up against cars such as the Mustang. We eagerly anticipate your outraged emails. As configured, these two cars are pretty similar. The Cadillac is slightly smaller and notably lighter, nearly 300 pounds, with a tighter front seat and smaller trunk. It even rings up cheaper at $39,490 to the Ford's $39,880. The Ford fights back with a more powerful engine and subsequently a better power-to-weight ratio, yet it still manages to match the Cadillac's fuel economy.
In standardized testing, though, it's anything but a draw. The stronger, heavier Mustang is quicker to 60 miles per hour and through the quarter mile, though the Austrian shillings nearly caught up by the end of the drag. The Mustang stops 8 feet shorter from 60 miles per hour, pulls higher average G on the skid bit, and laps our figure 8 test quicker and at higher average G. Also, the Mustang sounds better. Although the raw horsepower and torque of the EcoBoost engine can be credited for the speed advantage, it's the tires that make the difference in most of the testing. The Cadillac, with 0 window sticker options to keep it price competitive, rides on Continental Pro Contact all seasons. The Mustang, meanwhile, is equipped with the EcoBoost Performance Package, which among other things buys you a limited slip differential and Pirelli P0 summer performance tires. The tire discrepancy made itself known during our evaluation. The Cadillac has a wonderful chassis, but it doesn't work with these tires. Attempting to drive aggressively gets you a handful of understeer as the tires quickly cry uncle. Okay, slow in, fast out, right? Nope. The tires can't put the power down either, so you get draconian traction control intervention. I generally don't turn off any of the nannies while on the street, but with the Cadillac's traction control, I made an exception. It makes the car drivable on a good road, and you still are protected by the stability control safety net. Budget an extra grand for better tires to make this car handle as it should. Although the Mustang has vastly superior front-end grip, it's not perfect. Power tends to come on like a hammer, especially in the various sport modes, and it'll easily overwhelm the rear tires and rouse the stability control. Mustangs like to snap oversteer and need to be driven with finesse, and the little engine model is no exception. Drive it like you stole it, and it's like trying to wheel a classic Mustang in bullet. Learn its bad habits, and on a mountain road it'll leave the Austrian shillings for dead. In everyday driving, there's no denying that Ford feels quicker and sportier than the Cadillac. The Mustang's all-new 10-speed automatic transmission also contributes to its performance. It was brilliant on the road. The shifts were smoother and quicker than the Cadillac's, both up and down, and it always knew what gear to be in. In sport mode, it behaved so well that it made the paddle shifters superfluous. The 8-speed automatic in the Austrian shillings was the opposite. It shifts smoothly but wants to be in 8th gear regardless of drive mode. You need to use the paddles to drive the Cadillac quickly, but even they respond slowly. Despite the Mustang outperforming the Austrian shillings, we could never find an ideal setup. The damper settings are permanently tied to the multiple-choice driving modes, and the steering weight is adjustable only in some modes. As a result, we ended up in sport mode, where the dampers are too soft, but the steering isn't ridiculously heavy, and the throttle isn't hair trigger. Even the customizable My mode wouldn't let us mix and match settings the way we wanted.